Hey everyone, this is Dr. Casey Johnson. Thank you so much for taking time to listen to the Unlock Wellness podcast. I know you're going to love today's episode with Jaye O'Grey. Jaye's story is amazing and is so inspiring, so I'm excited to have her on to share a story with you guys. If you've been loving the Unlock Wellness podcast, be sure to jump onto iTunes, subscribe, and write a review. It really helps me out a lot, and I really appreciate all of the feedback and support. Also, be sure to follow me on social media to keep up with the latest podcast episodes. The best way to connect with me is on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. My username across the board is at Dr. Casey Johnson. That's DrKaseyJohnson. You can also check out my website at drkaseyjohnson.com. It has all of the past podcast episodes and more information about each guest under the Listen tab. While you're on my site, also be sure to check out the Shop tab where you can check out my first book of my Healthy Children's Book series and learn about the Unlock Wellness Project, which supplies a wellness bag to a child in need for each book purchased. Thank you again for listening. I hope this episode leaves you feeling inspired to start making positive changes to your health. Now it's time for today's episode. I hope you love my conversation with Jaye O'Grey. Welcome to the Unlock Wellness podcast. I'm Dr. Casey and excited for today's guest. I'm here with Jaye O'Grey, and Jaye's husband, Eric O'Grey, was recently on the podcast. And after hearing how many amazing changes that she's made in her health as well, I knew that I had to have her on the show to share her health journey with you guys. So just Jaye, thank you so much for taking time to come on. I'm extremely excited to have you.
Hi, Casey. Yeah, my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. And Jaye, what is your weight loss to date? I didn't ask you that beforehand, but I know it's a good amount.
So I was 197 and down to 115 now.
That's amazing. That's so awesome. That kind of change is just so incredible. And Jaye, I want to have you kind of walk people through your backstory a little bit. We heard Eric's whole story, and I kind of want to hear on your end, just, what your health looked like at a younger age, and then how that really progressed over time and then just led to where you are right now.
Yes. Awesome. So, I can honestly say I never felt good almost my whole entire life. I thought that was just normal for me to not feel good. And, I would get dizzy and just generally not feel good. And I would say about 15 years ago, I went to the emergency room because I just felt like something was wrong. And at that time, 15 years ago, they said I had low blood sugar and I was hypoglycemic. And so that went on, but they just say diet and exercise. They don't really tell you what to do or how to do or anything. At that time, I didn't need to lose weight. I was fine. But diet, they would say, eat an egg or have some peanut butter, but they don't tell you how to live your day-to-day life. So I just kept going that way for years and years. And I would say in 2014, 2015, I would tell my coworkers, I would use the word lopsided. I feel kind of lopsided or funny today if you want to check on me every once in a while. And I had a friend that I worked with who was diabetic, and she said, "Oh, I know exactly how you feel." She understood my word lopsided. But I never went to doctors because I never really felt good. So I just, avoided the issues. Mm-hmm. And then one day my hands started really hurting. I couldn't even sleep at night. It kept cramping up from my repetitive work at my job. And so my boss said, "Well, you can't get workman's comp or anything until you go see a private doctor." So that's what I did. And when I went, she asked me, "Well, how long has it been since you've been to a doctor?" And I'm 20 years. So she made me do all kinds of blood work and tests. And my blood work for blood sugar came back to the point where she said, "No, now you have to go do the fasting one to get your A1C because something's wrong." So I did that, and it came back, and it was borderline above to be diabetic. So that was my issue then with the feeling faint and dizzy all the time. And at the same time, my cholesterol was high and my blood pressure. And, all those things contributed to me just not really feeling well. I actually would go to sleep at night and pray to God to just let me have one more day, because that's how bad I felt. And I had this really weird ritual where I would go to bed at night and sit up like the first half hour and fall asleep. And then I would kind of wake myself up. And I don't know how I did this, and then I could tell myself, okay, you woke up after half an hour. Now it's safe to actually lay down and go to sleep. That's truly how bad I felt every day of my life.
It's crazy.
And so that was just like the norm for me. I didn't know any better. And again, the doctor would just say, and then later on, I had gone through menopause and quit smoking and just put on a bunch of weight really, really quick. And so the doctor said, well, you got the double whammy there, going through menopause and quitting smoking. And she said, diet and exercise. And that's when, they don't tell you exactly what to do. They just say diet and exercise. So.
Right. Just 'cause, the training's not there,
Right.
And,
right.
Yeah.
So right before I got back with Eric, I would say 6 months or so, for the last 2 years, I'd been going to the doctor for various reasons, because when she had me do all the blood work, I had to keep going back. And then I had to have x-rays on my hand and I had all these other issues, just like all crept up in 2015. I had plantar fasciitis in my foot. And anyway, I was going to the doctor all the time. So I was a mess when I got back together with him.
Man, that's crazy. So so you did I know that you guys, I love your story because I think it's super cute how you guys got back together and you guys went to high school together, right? And actually went to prom together.
We did, yes. We went to his junior prom, yes.
That's awesome. So that's cool. So you guys just kind of disconnected for, what was it, 20 years or something like that?
40 years.
40 years. Geez, that's even longer. No, but that's just amazing. So so did you just saw his story and was like, oh my gosh, I know him. How did that all happen?
Exactly. Somebody showed me that video and oh my God, I know him. And so, I contacted him through Facebook and just said, hi, if you want to hear from an old friend, give me a call. And my phone went off immediately.
Oh,
so, yeah.
That's awesome. What were you thinking about his health changes at that time? Because obviously, you're going through a lot and you see all of the positive changes that he's having. So did his story give you hope in that moment, or were you just excited just to see him because it's been so long?
I think I was excited to see him because it had been so long. Glad that he had gotten himself together. Mm-hmm. My whole thing with him saying he always, Petey made him be the person he always wanted to be. I thought of him the way he was at 17, and he was just the sweetest, nicest person to me. We never fought. We didn't break up. He went in the army and we lost touch. So for him to say to be the person he always wanted to be, I always thought he was that person already.
So maybe it just kind of made him realize that he was that person.
Right. I guess Petey made him realize it. Yes. So, yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So so obviously, you guys get back together, and I know whenever he was on my podcast the other day, he was saying that, whenever you guys got back together, he was aware of the health issues that you had, and it was hey, I can help you 10 months, just do what I say. And I think it's cool that he had the confidence to do that after, going through that himself. So what are you thinking when he's okay, 10 months, you can be a completely different person? What's going through your mind at this time?
Right. Well, I sent him a picture and, because he's right away, I loved you. I always loved you. I tried to find you over the years and I was off the radar. So he couldn't find me. And I sent him a picture. I said, well, you're still in love with a 17-year-old and this is what I look like now. And you kind of need a trophy wife and I'm not that. So I am not ready to be with you. And he wrote back that he, promised me within 10 months, just come live with me and I'll get you down to your high school weight. And pretty much said it didn't matter what I looked like because I don't care. You come live with me and I always loved you. But I promise you, I will get you down to your high school weight. And so, how can I refuse that? So, take a chance, right?
Yeah. So what were some of the first changes you started to make? Like whenever, did you just do everything overnight, or did you start cutting things out over the course of a few weeks? Like what were some of those first changes that you started to make? And then like some of the first changes you actually started to notice?
So as soon as we got back together, I'm living in his apartment and there is nothing in there but vegan food. There's no way to cheat or, unless I'd go to the store or something by myself, which I didn't do. I was fully committed right away. I saw how healthy and happy he was and off all his medications. And, how could you not try this? So I was fortunate there was nothing in the apartment that would tempt me or anything. So I jumped full in and, I just walked Jake. He had at that time a half an hour twice a day and did what he said. He used to run. And when we first got back together, he'd run and he'd say, well, I'm going to run for 4 miles. You walk for a half a mile and turn around. And then, I'll meet you back again because he's so much faster than I was. So we did that. So I was pretty strict about walking Jake half an hour twice a day, which is not strenuous at all. And I just jumped right into cooking that way.
Yeah. Did you grow up being like a really good cook, or was cooking a whole new thing for you?
I always thought I knew how to cook. I've said this before. I've catered both of my daughter-in-law's weddings. I had 50 people at my house. I was the one that had family dinners. It was nothing to have 25, 30 people at my house for dinner. So I thought I knew how to cook, but this is a total different type of cooking. I truly felt like a new housewife when I didn't. He asked me, how do you caramelize onions? And I'm like, well, half a stick of butter and a bunch of brown sugar, right? So, he totally taught me how to use vegetable broth for cooking instead of oil. But then I took it upon myself to just, if I wanted something, I'd Google it, vegan tuna or, just anything. I made salad dressing one day and he's like, what is this? And I said, well, it's my version of Thousand Island because that's what I felt like. So if I felt like something, I would just Google it or figure out how to do it myself.
That's awesome. No, I think that's super important. Just understanding like any type of meal that you enjoy eating, like you don't have to give that up just because you want to go vegan. Like there's ways that you can like veganize your favorite recipes. Like if you want like lasagna, or if you want, literally any type of dish, like you can make it doable by just substituting the right things. It's just all about taking the time just to like you did, like Google it, research it, or like join like a community on Facebook that posts amazing recipes. Like there's so many different resources that you can reach out to make it easy. And like, there's just so many resources available.
Absolutely. Absolutely. One of my favorite things my kids liked was I'm Italian. So I made an Italian sausage soup. Well, you just get the seasonings and the spices of like the sausage, right. And you don't need that, but just load it up with all the vegetables. And that's one of Eric's favorite meals now. So yeah, you can just Google anything and just figure out a way. I have tuna for sandwich, mock tuna, every day. So with garbanzo beans. So
that's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah. And that's a good point that you brought up, Jay, because like, I've had a few guests on that have kind of said this, and it's so true though, because people don't think about it. Like people don't really enjoy the taste of meat. Like you're enjoying the taste of the seasonings. Like, and that's huge, because if you can find something that maybe has something that's similar texture, you can season it like that would be, and it's still going to have that same effect, because what you want is that seasoning. Like nobody just goes and orders like a plain piece of chicken. Like that's not going to happen. And if you do that, you're considered a bad cook, right? So it's just all about just different ways to season.
That is absolutely the truth. Absolutely. Yes.
And like, so I know you said you're Italian, so you try to stick to more of the Italian recipes. Is that your favorite go-to?
Pretty much, yeah. Pasta, minestrone, things like that. Yeah, that's pretty much my go-to.
That's cool. And like, I want to hear from you too. Like, you are you start to implement this right away. And I'm sure you started seeing, how quickly were you seeing weight loss change? And then also go into like, because I think people think that once you start eating like this, that you're going to feel super deprived. And that's not the case at all when you just know how to substitute. So like, so I guess, both of those things, how quickly were you seeing weight loss and then just not feeling deprived? Like it was just totally doable.
So I think I bought a scale maybe 3 weeks into it. So yeah, I noticed immediately, I would say within a week.
Yeah. Just started.
Exactly.
Just feel better.
Exactly. Yeah, like a week after we got back together, he had to go on this trip for his book. And so I went back down to stay with my kids for a week. So I didn't have a scale. But then when I got back, I did because I was noticing things already. So it was immediate. And then what I would do is I would only weigh myself once a week.
Yeah.
I think I did every Friday morning, I would weigh myself. So, then you don't get the ups and downs of every day.
Yep.
And it's just too much to try and do it every single day.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because there might be a week where you you could gain 2 pounds the next day,
yes.
but then at the end of the week be down like 5. Like you can't, you definitely can't weigh yourself every day. And if you're listening and you're like just getting started with your journey, or maybe not getting just started and you're in the middle of your journey, like do what Jay did, like just pick a day once a week. I mean, gosh, even every other week, if you're able to wait that long, because there's so many changes happening, especially at the beginning, to where it can be super discouraging. If
absolutely. Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
So, we got married in December. We got back together the first week of September, and we got married the first week of December. And I was starting to put on like a medium instead of an extra large. So even, that it went off pretty quick at first.
Yeah. Because to go from a size, I think you said like size 20 to a size 2 in 10 months, was that?
That's right.
That's just crazy. Like,
yeah.
What were some of the things that you were noticing? Because I know you were, before you were talking about like sleeping was difficult. Everything kind of hurt. Like, what kind of changes physically and mentally were you feeling? Because
right.
You're a whole new person in 10 months. Like, I can't imagine all of those changes, like what's going through your mind and your body. And
so I was feeling a lot more energy almost right away. And the dizzy spells went away, within a few weeks. And headaches, I used to get headaches all the time. And the headaches went away. My legs would hurt too. And that took about 2 months, I would say, where my legs just stopped aching. I think that was because of the weight. And so they stopped aching. And sleeping, I go to sleep now just like thinking about what we're going to do next and things like that. It's all good things. It's not, please don't let me die. So I have no trouble falling asleep and things like that.
That's
Tons
awesome.
of energy. Yeah.
That's awesome. And and then as far as I know you were right there on that line of like diabetes, like that's completely gone then, right?
Right. So in 2017 for his work, we had to have physicals. I think it was like March of 2017. We had to have physicals. So they did all the blood work, and everything is normal and beautiful and perfect. And the doctor was amazed. My heart's good. Cholesterol's fine. Blood pressure's fine. A1C is fine. Everything was perfect. So. Yeah.
That's awesome. No, I love that. And so are you a runner now too? I know Eric's really big into running. Have you picked that up as well?
No, I just can't get into it. I'm the cheerleader waiting for him at the finish line.
That's awesome. Yeah. And I think it's cool too, because obviously you've lost that weight. It was pretty recent. So what month, year did you really start?
I started the first week, September of 2016.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Because I think it's cool. I know whenever I talk to people who have, lost weight like this, almost everybody just raves on and on about how sustainable it is like just how sustainable that weight loss is, as opposed to like all of these like yo-yo diets they've done for the past, 20, 30 years. So like, I mean, have you noticed that as well? Just the sustainability of it? Like you don't have to weigh yourself all the time because
I don't. Yeah, I don't have to weigh myself all the time. I could see how my clothes fit.
Yeah.
I still though have a ton of energy because like we moved to Boise here, and I joined the gym a couple months ago just because I like to get out. I like the treadmill. I know some people hate it, but me, I like it. They put up a TV in front of me and I can just go, 45 minutes to an hour. And that's my thing. And I will walk Jake after he runs him when he's all tired out. Because he's a very strong boy, that Jake. So
is he the black lab, right?
He is, and he's full energy. And it's great when Eric runs him and then he mellows out a little bit, and I'll walk him in the afternoon. So I still, to maintain, you still have to exercise, of course. You can't just like, do whatever you want to do.
Right. No, that's awesome. No, I love when I hear that, just because it's like, it is discouraging. Like if you've tried like every single diet out there, and maybe at first you lose like 20 pounds, but then you gain back like 35, 40, and then it's just like a cycle. And then by that time, like you've damaged your hormones so much that it makes it even more difficult to lose the weight. So, I love just hearing this way, because then it's like when you do it the right way, your body's actually working for you and not against you. And then you can keep it sustainable.
Absolutely. And I feel deprived? Absolutely not.
Yeah. Yeah.
If I make black bean brownies and banana ice cream, and, I just do things in moderation and low calorie, like the banana ice cream. You could have that every night. There's nothing bad in it at all. So,
right.
Yeah.
Right. Now I kind of want you to come cook for me like full time. Are you like posting your recipes places? Because like they all sound amazing.
Yeah, Eric is posting them, I'm sure.
You need to get on there and do that, because like, I mean, so many people would like love to have those available, and like especially you've had such amazing results, like it would just just inspire so many people to see what exactly that you're eating.
Right I think on his website, ericandpd.com, you can find most of the recipes and links to where he's publishing them.
Awesome.
So he is writing articles and publishing recipes.
That's awesome. And like have you been able to like influence your own family as well? Like I know you were talking about your kids, and then you have a larger family. Like have you been able just to kind of
I had my daughter-in-law come and spend about 4 days here with us and get her started. And then I spent, when Eric was in Washington just recently for his new job, I went to spend a week and a half with them and really cleaned out their cupboard, their pantry, and they've been totally vegan for about a month or so now. My son lost 10 pounds, and I think my daughter-in-law also lost 10 pounds.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that. That's amazing. And like, what are there things that you're working on in the future, or just to continue to, you and Eric just continue to put out amazing content and just inspire as many people as possible? We kind of work on the recipes and the cooking together. Yeah.
He'll give me ideas, or can you come up with something for this, or things like that. And I'm the one that's in the kitchen actually cooking and fixing and tweaking things around. So I do a lot of that. We're kind of in the middle with his new job in Washington, we're in a big transition period right now. We're going to have to get ready to sell this house. And that's kind of been on our minds right now, fixing up the house to get it ready to sell. But we're always working on new recipes.
That's awesome. No, I'm excited to go check all of those out, because they sound amazing.
Yeah. If you go to ericandpd.com, he's been posting some in some magazines, and I'm sure the links are on there.
Perfect. Awesome. And Jay, what is the best way for people to follow you on social media? That way they can just see all the positive work that you're doing and just, keep up with everything that you're up to.
Yeah, I'm not a social media person. That's probably why he couldn't find me for so many years. So I just refer people to, again, ericandpd.com. And if they have any questions, he lets me know. and then I will get in touch with somebody.
Perfect. You are on Facebook though, right?
I do have a Facebook account. I think I've posted maybe 3 things in 3 years. I just am not into that on my phone all day long.
I gotcha. Awesome.
But always, ericandpd.com if anybody has any questions. I've had people want to know, well, how did you have the nerve to get in touch with your high school sweetheart, and how could I do that? And just any kind of questions, or how do you make vegetable broth? I'm, more than willing to get back to anybody. I can always through him, and then I will contact that person.
Awesome. No, I love that, Jay. And then, just closing question that I ask every guest, but if you just had one piece of advice for the audience, maybe it's been something that has been your biggest takeaway through your own wellness journey, but if you just had one piece of advice to give, what would it be?
I would say just don't give up. Even if you fail or go off, or, you think you cheated, try again, because you feel so much better. It's well worth it. Try your best for 3-4 weeks, and I guarantee that you will feel so much better. You'll never go back.
Awesome. No, I love it, Jay. And just thank you so much for taking time to come on. I really loved having you, and I'm just excited for all of your positive changes, and then excited just to see all of the positive work you and Eric put out there. So just thank you so much.
Oh, my pleasure. Yes, anytime.
Thank you guys so much for listening to today's episode. I hope you loved my conversation with Jay. I love the work she's doing, so be sure to give her a follow on social media to keep up with everything that she's been working on. You can find her and her husband Eric's social media links that we talked about in the episode in the show notes, but you can also find them on my website as well at drkaseyjohnson.com. That's drkaseyjohnson.com. Click on the Listen tab. Then from there, you'll be able to see all of the past guests that have come on the Unlock Wellness podcast, read a little bit about each guest, and be able to click on their social media links, websites, all of that. So all of Jay's information can be found on my site as well. If you guys loved today's episode with Jay, be sure to jump onto iTunes, subscribe, and write a review. It really helps me out a lot, and I really appreciate all of the feedback and support. Thank you guys so much again for tuning in to today's episode. I hope you loved it. I hope it inspires you. And most importantly, I hope you take action.